Welcome to Rev Up Your Business with Hilda Gann, the podcast for people-centric leaders, business owners, and HR professionals who know that people are at the heart of business success. Join me and industry experts as we explore the key aspects of building a thriving company, sharing cutting-edge strategies, impactful insights, and the latest trends to help you ignite your business growth. It's time to rev up your leadership, rev up your success. Let's get started. Welcome to another episode of Rev Up Your Business. Today, we're going to talk about leading with peace, unlocking thriving teams and business success. My guest today is Irina Mihaela. She's a former nuclear engineer, who turned business advisor and executive coach. She helps leaders elevate their purpose, peace, and overall profit to keep growing their companies while maintaining their well-being. She established her business in 2011. Her company, Entrepreneur Enlightenment Inc, offers coaching, consulting, masterminds, leadership development workshops, and executive retreats. Irina is an award-winning 2003 President's Award of Excellence and received the influential Businesswoman's Award's Most Empowering Entrepreneur Coach and Consultant in 2023 in the GTA area. She is the author of Entrepreneur Enlightenment, a guide to establish your purpose-driven business, and hosted her Entrepreneur Enlightenment show on Rogers TV and radio on voiceamerica.com, which is now available on YouTube. Her Child Innocence project offers free of charge equine experiences to youth who suffered adversity in childhood, helping them learn emotional regulation, leadership, and entrepreneur skills. I am so excited to have Irina here and sharing her wisdom and her knowledge and helping us think about peace in the team. Welcome, Irina.
Thank you for having me, Hilda. My pleasure to be here.
I've been wanting to have this session with you and invite you on our show when I knew that you were doing these equine experiences. And then when I was up at your property last month, I wanted to share and bring you on to talk about things. So we are going to talk about leadership, leading with peace in the workplace. And I think the first thing we talked about you sharing is the detriment of not having peace in the team. You want to talk about that some more?
Yes. So I don't know if this is the white elephant, but people don't talk about like the friction in the team. Like when we're trying to improve our business, the revenues, the profit, we're looking at numbers, but we need to be looking at people. And I know your company is people-centric. I don't remember your tagline, but it's something like that. And when we understand that the friction in the team can lose profitability, can lose production, can be detrimental to the project, to the business, to the deliverables, then because you cannot solve a problem you don't know you have, right? But if we start to look, is it efficiency in the team? Is it harmony? Is it cohesive? Do the team members work well together? When we start to ask that question, then we can find the solutions. But when we don't know, and it's not the big conflicts, like I'm not talking about when people have the conflict. I'm talking about day to day where colleagues that they probably think they work well together, but you are supposed to give the report on Tuesday and you're not giving it until Thursday, and it makes the project fall back. We need to look of where there is a team misalignment or a team friction. And when I work with executives, with leaders to figure out their team, sometimes what's missing is people don't understand their strengths and their weaknesses. So one person, even the leader, expects a team member to do something, but is totally not in their strengths. So then it becomes this resistance, like the person doesn't do it because they don't feel capable of doing it, the leader or gets frustrated, and then it becomes an inner fight, and it's tacit, like it's people are not talking about it, it's just energetic. And there is a lot of productivity lost, a lot of even sleep lost over those things. And it's so easy to fix it once you understand it.
So we'll talk about the fix after, but let's talk a little bit more about understanding it. I think you're right. It's you called it a white elephant in the room, same idea. When we don't talk about the little tensions, they're under the surface. It still affects us during the day. And then all you need is a little bit of a more difficult day for that tension to increase, right? And sometimes I call it annoyances. Some people just don't get along. And they don't get along because they are different personalities. They have different strengths. And sometimes the strengths that is for one person is really an annoyance for another. It's difficult for them. They don't understand it. And a good
Yes.
example would be people who love to explain things and share the details because they're detail focused. In the world of fascination, they're what we call they speak the language of alert. And they're good. We need somebody to execute, right? But let's say that the senior manager happens to be more a person who is decisive. They can make a decision on 3 pieces of information, and when you give them 3 pieces, they'll make the decision. If they need a fourth or a fifth, they'll ask the question. But the person who is an alert, these are people called power. They're decisive. The people who are alert, they want to give you 20 pieces of information. So this is an annoyance because he can't give all 20 that he wants, and this person only wants 4 or 5. So there's this chasm for the additional 5. And learning that makes you understand more. Oh, I know he only wants 5, but what are the best 5? And I know he wants to give me 10, but let's have a conversation. I don't have time today for all of them. Can you give me your best 5, right? And then instead of that underlying tension, knowing our uniqueness, knowing our strengths, we can appreciate the other people's strengths and now communicate so that we're not being polite and frustrating ourselves.
Exactly. So that's the key element of this. When we understand each other, we understand that the person that gives 20 pieces of information, they don't do it to annoy. They do it because that's how they're wired, right?
Yeah.
So that's why it's very important for team peace. It's important that people know their strengths and they are shared in a like when I do it separate, but then we share it like on a lunch and learn for the whole team. And we talk about, oh, look at Joe, he's this, that, and he will be tend to do this or that. And everybody nods and it becomes a little bit funny, right? It becomes a little bit, oh yeah, that's why he's doing that. And it brings that lightness into the team. And that's what we want. We don't want to be like, and I used to be very task oriented myself because I'm an achiever, but we don't want to be task oriented or only task oriented. We want to balance like the yin and the yang. So when we start to understand each other, and we all have quirks, like we all have things, we can laugh at one another rather than get frustration. Not laugh in a mean way, but like have like a lightness and a joke. Okay, you want to give me 20 again. Can we stay with 3? So but it makes it lighter because we know the context.
Yeah. I think that's the key, is that we need to acknowledge the tension and lighten it. It's not like the examples you and I have given are not earth-shattering, like big problems that they just don't get along and they yell at each other. It's just those little, oh, do I have to go in again? And I can just see him tapping his hand and thinking, come on. So this, you're right, brings a lightness. I remember I did a training session for a leadership group for one of my clients. And the office manager is great at what she does. She's very detailed oriented. She needs to get things done right away, so it's off her plate. The technical manager, he's more what we call in the language of fascinated, a mystique. He likes to listen. He likes to absorb different pieces of information, and then he needs to process it. So you can tell right by what I'm saying, she's not going to get the answer she needs in 3 minutes. And when they learned each other's strengths, he said, okay, there's this kind of little bit of a difference, a gap between the two of us. You want answers right away. I need time to process. But when you start ordering me, like you get a little bit more intense about it, instead of this gap, it becomes this gap. Right? And then I can't answer right away because I'm stressed by the fact that I'm pressured to answer right away. So now they realize your strength is absorbing, processing, and coming up with a solution that works. Mine is get it done. I know how to do it. And so they laugh. He says, I know I need this answer by 5 o'clock, but and can you do it today? Or can you do it by 8 tomorrow? Yeah. Or he'll say, oh, I know you want it right away, but when can I give it to you at the latest? So now there's this understanding, and this tension is relaxed. It's more that friendly kind of, I know you know me, how are we going to make this work, right?
That's beautiful. Exactly.
Yeah. You talk about mental wellness as a result of this kind of tension that happens.
Yes, because like we can have a good business, but if everybody takes sick leave because they are stressed out, or even as a person that has like a business for themselves and they have people working for them, it's like what's the end goal is not only the money and the production and the profit, it's also that we are well and we are keeping ourselves healthy and happy and productive. So mental wellness is very important, and I'm happy these days it's more and more talked in the workplace.
What do you recommend people do to raise the awareness, provide, suggestions to reduce the tensions that might create that anxiety possibly at work?
Yeah, so we were talking about compassion at work, right?
Mm-hmm.
So as a leader or as a team leader or as a person who manages a project, when you see something is not working, instead of putting pressure on the person, like somebody was supposed to finish a deliverable by 5 and they left and it's not there, and you're stewing all night, and in the morning you're going to give it to them, right? But if we have this value as a leader that I start with compassion. So if the person didn't do it, they didn't do it because there is a reason behind. So this will also answer your question. So instead of reacting, I take a deep breath and I remind myself that everyone wakes up in the morning wanting to do a good job.
Exactly.
And they do it to the best of their abilities and the best of whatever happens in their world that day. And we all know that there are many things that happen in people's lives, right? We're like not hiding that no more. Like before, like 20 years ago, you go to work and you have like no private life. But we understand that we are doing life together. So when we turn into coming ourselves and then coming from compassion, like having that value that I have to first put compassion and understand why that thing didn't happen, then find corrections.
Yeah.
So first take a hold of yourself and then find corrections. And I read on the internet, I don't know, that there is a tribe in Africa. I don't know where it is, but there is a tribe that when somebody does something wrong, they circle that person, like they put that person in the middle, and there is a circle of the other members, and they tell that person everything good about themselves. Oh, you're such a kind person. You're so compassionate. You did so good in that time. So instead of punishing, which I don't know how we got into punishing, I don't know the history, how we got into somebody does something bad, you need to punish them because it's already bad punishing them on top of that. Like, how's that going to help anything? But this tribe found that when somebody does something that's not right or doesn't meet the demands of the team, whatever they were doing, is because they forgot their greatness.
And I remember going to a conference, and one of the keynote speakers was talking about our inner critic, right? And she was saying, we don't treat people like our inner critic treats us. Why didn't you do that? You should know better. Why wouldn't you want your inner critic, like your office, your executive assistant in there, to be, wow, let's keep doing that. This was great. We don't have that. And it's interesting because I've done a lot of research. My concept of Rev Up, which is behind my background there, Rev Up is about helping people rev up their business, rev up their personal life, rev up their success. And it talks about treating people with respect, looking at them as equals. And by equals, I mean your role in life, in job, is equally important to my role in life. And if we look at our importance, rather than, I'm supposed to do the dishes and you're supposed to take out the garbage, look at the value of each of us in our household, in our professional world, then value who people are, saying good things, then look at the uniqueness, the strengths we talked about, and tap into, or now I like to say, harness that potential. And we can make ourselves into more positive, focused human beings and helping others to also uplift themselves. And when you talk about giving people that confidence and saying what is good about them, statistics show that 67% of people, when you give them a compliment, they feel more valued and they are actually more productive as a result of that compliment. So creating a more compassionate workplace does add value for the skeptics, for the business owners who say, like, why bother? There is a reason. You are going to be more profitable. You are going to have more employees want to stay if you create a compassionate workplace, not just from the most senior person, but all levels of the organization.
Yes, so true.
So how do you create and maintain peace in work teams? We talked about the clarity of understanding, and then we talked about the solution. Once you know, you can do things about that. So share some of those ways to create and maintain this team harmony.
Yes, and peace. So I want to start with the person first, with the leader, with the person who is asking this question or who is listening. When we have inner peace, it's easier to create peace in the team, in the workplace, everywhere. So first and foremost, we have to cultivate this inner peace. And it's not that we're going to be a flat line because we're humans. So things happen and the line fluctuates, right? But if we have the desire to return to this place of stability, which is inner peace, we already, like if we have the desire, we're already moved along the line, right? And when we feel not at peace, that's the time when you should not try to correct another person. Usually, and I'm a type A personality, so I would like to jump right away or answer the email right away. But in time, I've learned that it's so much better, like it's so much easier to navigate once you have yourself in check. it's easier to navigate the other people and the relationships. So to find inner peace, so have the desire to meditate, to journal. I have a process that I share with my clients. When there is a problem, there are 7 questions to journal on. So instead of just right away answering, you take the time to journal on what's this, what's that, what needs to happen for the peace to come in. And then once you're clear, you go and you try to mend the team or mend the situation. So the inner peace is very important, first and foremost.
So, Irina, you talk about inner peace, and I want to just stop for a second because I notice you put your hand here, and sometimes you put both hands here. Mm-hmm. And I remember a situation where we had a very stressful event happen, and the women I was introduced, and we had an intruder into our Zoom, and it was stressful for the women who were there. And we did have a person who was good at meditating, and she said, okay, I want you to put your hands like this.
Yeah, that's
it. I want you to put it on your chest and then breathe in and out. And that feeling just really calmed the group down. And I noticed that you put your hands here and just that feeling. So maybe you can lead us for 30 seconds to help people feel this inner peace that you can have.
Yeah.
I noticed you've done it a few times, and I wanted to comment, and I think we're talking about inner peace, so this is a great time.
Yes. So first and foremost, my name Irina means peace in Greek. So I'm all about peace, inner peace.
Hence our title and our focus about peace in the team. Peace.
Yes. Yeah. So I'm very big on the P to have inner peace, because then everything works better. And now, like when we are at workplace, like I'm bringing the scenario now. So we're in a workplace and I'm all in my head, right? So I'm going there, the phone rings, the email, I type. So I'm not in my body, I'm somewhere in my head, right? Like I'm somewhere, like my brain is working. So all the energy is in the head area. So I become like not aware of where I stand. So even like the ladies on your Zoom, or the people on the Zoom, right? They were like brain thing, something happened, activated their brain further, right? So now we want to bring the attention to the body. And whatever, that saying, where attention goes, energy flows.
I like that.
So when you put your hand on your heart, your brain starts to connect. Mm-hmm. Like your brain, like when you touch yourself, your brain has a signal that she's touching, right? So when we put our hand on our heart, our attention goes here, and it gives that compassion, like it gives that compassion to ourselves. So I will invite you to do it on behalf of everyone else. But let's first think about something that's stressing you out. Like go in your brain and think about something, I don't know, any problem you had with the dry cleaners or whatever problem you had, just for a second, and then put your hand on the heart and breathe, of course. Breathe deep to the sit bones. And take another deep breath. And sometimes I even invite people to shrug their shoulders. And then when the exhale, just release and let the shoulders down. And you can do it one more time. And the hands on the heart also means I got you, like I'm holding myself, like I pay attention to myself. When you put your hands, you're paying attention to yourself. Like, when you hug a child or you're putting your hands, you are bringing yourself into a state.
What I found, Irina, when I shared this and then invited you to do this, I could still feel slight pressure, warmth on my heart as you were talking and then leading us through that exercise. And it's had even a calming effect as I had released and then redid that. So I wanted to share that with people because it doesn't take a long time and it can be really helping you in a very hectic day. I've got a day that's go, 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 go until after dinner because it'll be nonstop. So that's what I was focusing on. Okay, calm yourself. Just walk through each process as it goes through the day and it will be fine.
Yes, and I tell people, like, even if you go to the washroom and you take 1 minute to do this,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
in between meetings, in between tasks, we need to remember to take a moment. Like, no matter how busy the day is, once you finish a task, don't start the next one. Take a moment, then start the next one.
Well, and that's the Pomodoro method, right? You work for 15 minutes and you break to take a break, or 30 minutes and you take a break. And that break refreshes you to get to start anew. So instead of the tension being here, that pause, that break will bring you down to here so that you're not steadily building up the tension over the days that it's going up and down.
Yeah, and it makes you more productive and it leads to business success.
So we've given peace to ourselves. Now, how do we help the team?
Okay, so let's assume it's not between the leader and the person, it's between two other people. They have like something is not like frustration or something like that happens. What we talked about, like it's important to, as a leader, it's important to evaluate this situation. Is it a conflict? Is it a nuisance? Is it like what type of situation is? Because depending on how big or small, you will act differently. But let's say it's not like a big conflict, because that requires more conflict resolution and stuff like that. Let's say it's just a frustration. Again, coming to the peace, I would invite, and I don't know if people are comfortable to do this, but I would just say, okay, let's take a deep breath, everyone, right? You can do that. It's not a big deal. So, okay, so let's take a deep breath, everyone, which already calms it down. Then we're going into what's not working. So, okay, what seems to be the situation here? And when we're asking that question, already people, because sometimes people get frustrated, we too, but we don't know why. But once we ask the question, okay, why? Like, what is frustrating? Then it's maybe that the doorbell ringed in the middle of the episode. It's not something to do with the other person. When we understand the frustration, then we can find the solution. So that's why I would ask, after you say, let's take a deep breath, like, what seems to not work here?
Yeah.
And then if we take the examples that we gave, like the three things and the person who is high level and the detail oriented, then again we can say, okay, so she kept me in a meeting for 1 hour and I am busy to give you the report and I couldn't do it. So then we can go to that, what we talked at the beginning, that, oh, okay, so it's something that comes from your personality. The biggest help is the acknowledgement. Like, you wouldn't believe it. It solves 80% of the problem. Just acknowledging that there is something of frustration. I go deeper in other places. Sometimes there is a power struggle, like somebody doesn't want to give the information. But once we understand that here is a place where we value peace, where we value collaboration, where we value harmony, if something is not good, let's talk about it. Let's figure it out. Mm-hmm. And then you give them, because that's another thing. The leader sometimes thinks they know better and they want to tell people what to do. But the key here is to say and let them talk. Like when I was a leader, I wasn't a coach. When I was in my corporate career and I was managing people, I didn't have the coach training. But now after the coach training is like, you're not there trying to tell people what it is. You're asking the questions, you're leading them to a solution. So that's very valuable, because once you lead somebody to a solution, they will know how to lead themselves next time.
Right, for sure. Some really good tips, on the time that we have. I do want to spend time talking about, when I introduced you, I talked to you about your passion project and introduced it as Child Innocent Project, and it's an equine experience. Tell us more about your passion project.
Yeah, so we offer equine experiences to youth in need, free of charge, and the idea is the same, like the peace. And it's not because everybody, when they hear about horses, they think it's riding. No, it's mindfulness with the help of horses. It's finding that peace, inner peace, and experiencing that, like the animal, that the horse that is so big and majestic, and they have a big heart. And this is a secret why horses are used with PTSD symptoms, and they help, because their heart, I think it's 10 times bigger. I don't want to exaggerate,
But they have a big heart. Like
they have a big
physically,
heart.
not just maybe.
Yes. And also the energy field of their heart is big, and they are at peace, because they are animals that's their natural, all animals' natural state is peace. Only when something happens, they get a little triggered, but then when that goes away, they come back to peace. So because if you know physics, if their energy field is peace and we come into their energy field, it synchronizes with our heart and makes ourselves go back into peace. And the reason why, I mean, this came to me, I made up the reason afterwards, but the reason why bringing youth to horses is that we're not bringing them to fix them, or like to coach them, or to counsel them, or to, we're bringing them to be around the horse and to experience something. That's why I call it equine experience. So they are not intimidated. Okay, you have anxiety and mama is going to take you to therapy, right? Because like anxiety could go higher. And of course, there is a place for all the therapies. I'm not saying anything different, but they can come with that desire to meet a horse. And through the experience, they can feel that inner peace. And you were here, you felt something. What did you feel?
Well, I think I had introduced myself to the group that we were at, sharing all the things that I was planning to do in the month of November. And I think I was almost out of breath by the time I finished. And we were to set an intention. And the intention that I had when we got to Amore was, I'm open to opportunities. And the first thing you said to me, Irene, is just, why are you opening yourself to opportunities? And recalling that I had given this introduction of all the things I was going to do in November, I thought, yeah, why am I doing that? Why am I opening myself to more activities, more work, when I only have so many hours in a day and I am a human being? And then I sort of said, yeah, I probably should be spending time relaxing, to which Amore kind of knocked on the door and said, yeah. And then when I expressed yes, I need to spend more time, Amore walked away, and you had shared with us in the previous person was that's if you get the message, Amore says, I'm done. So Amore walks away. Yeah, it was quite the experience. It was very, very and empowering for me to see that in action, and to know that you are providing this service for youth to help them, and mentioning that it really is helpful for those that have been through some PTSD, that this would be a very beneficial thing. So
Mhm.
I really wanted to share that online with
Yes.
people.
Thank you for sharing. And also because it's free of charge for youth, we also accept donations. So if anybody is inclined, I will appreciate that.
Yes, yes, because you've got a barn, you've got stables, you've got horses, I'm all right to feed. So it is something truly that you're gifting from your heart to others. But yes, donations would always be welcomed. How do people get a hold of you to donate, or how do people get a hold of you to take advantage of some of your business coaching, your executive coaching, your team building, and your business mind? You have an excellent business mind, and we've focused on the peace aspect as to how it will help people with businesses.
Yeah, so my website is entrepreneurenlightenment.com. And there are various tabs. And one of the tabs, I think it says not profit, although it's a social enterprise, but that's for the equine. And then there is if you go under consulting, that's where you can download 5 keys to team efficiency, which will go a little bit deeper into what we talked today, gives you a little bit more strategies and tips, if you may, on how to make your team more efficient.
Thank you for sharing those 2 opportunities that people can take action on, donating to a really worthy cause, as well as getting more out of what you heard today by downloading this information that you have. What about LinkedIn? How do people get a hold of you there?
That's my name, Irina Mihaela.
Okay, and for those of you who are viewing it, it's on the screen, but it's Irina with an I, and Mihaela is Mihaela. Well, thank you very, very much, Irina, for coming today, sharing your wisdom and how peace can really unlock thriving teams and business success. For those who see that I'm skeptical, there is a return on investment for creating peace and harmony within your teams.
Definitely. Thank you for having me, Hilda.
Thank you again. And for those of you who are listening or viewing, if you loved Irina's podcast session with me, give it a thumbs up, subscribe, because there are many more experts that I invite to give you an idea of how to build success in your team, or as I like to say, rev up your business and rev up your success. So thanks for joining me today, and we'll see you at the next session. Thank you for tuning in to Rev Up Your Business with Hilda Gann. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe to our podcast on YouTube and Spotify to stay up to date with all of our latest episodes. For more HR tips, strategies, and to learn how you can create a people-centric workplace, visit our website at peoplebrightconsulting.com.